When you were 10 years old, do you remember how a single summer vacation just felt absolutely endless? I mean, you could fit what felt like a lifetime of adventures, total boredom, and brand new discoveries into just 2 months. But today, entire years seem to just vanish. You blink in January, and suddenly, boom, you're buying holiday gifts all over again. Why does life feel like it's accelerating on us? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to decode the actual psychology behind this phenomenon. And I promise you, by the time we wrap up, you'll not only understand exactly why time flies, but you'll have the exact tools to literally slow it down and make your life feel infinitely richer. So let's get into it.
The author Scott Galloway points to this really striking quote by the 20th century poet Delmore Schwartz. He wrote, "Time is the fire in which we burn." Yeah, it's a little dark, I know, but it perfectly sets up the central mystery of our whole existence. Time inexorably consumes us. But as author Robert Greene points out, time is also a highly subjective human creation. It's a perception, and because it's just a perception, we actually have the ability to willfully mold it.
Section 1. Memories measure our time. Okay, so to understand how to actually mold time, we first have to realize a fundamental truth. Your brain doesn't have some internal stopwatch ticking away objective seconds. It just doesn't. Instead, it measures a year by the density of your memories. Deep inside your brain is this little structure called the hippocampus. And according to research from the Neuroleadership Institute, this region encodes long-term memory through 4 neurological drivers. They use the acronym AGES: attention, generation, emotion, and spacing. Now that G, generation, is absolutely crucial here. Generation means the act of actually creating your own connections to new ideas. When you put in the effort to generate an answer, rather than just passively reading it, your memory retention absolutely skyrockets. Taking the effort to actively process the world builds the very memories that literally stretch out our perception of time.
Section 2. Why childhood feels longer. And this brings us right to why the days of our youth felt so incredibly long. Think about it. Childhood is defined by a constant, unrelenting state of novelty. I mean, everything is a first. Years 5, 10, and 15, they're packed with these dense, vivid milestones. Learning to ride a bike, your first day of high school, a first crush. Experiencing all that requires massive amounts of attention and emotional vulnerability. Your brain is just aggressively generating new neural pathways. But as adults, years 30, 40, and 50 often just stretch out, and they're sparsely populated by highly routine events. Less novelty and less effortful generation basically means less memory density.
Section 3. Routine compresses your years.
You see, our primitive ancestors, they were deeply connected to time. They had to observe their environment intensely just to survive, a tiger attack. But today, modern humans use routine to tune out reality. We fall into what writer Paul Millerd calls the default path, or the rat race. We take the exact same commute, we sit in the same office, we do the same mindless scrolling, and we retreat to the same automated refuges, like playing the exact same mobile game every night for 7 years straight. When your days are identical, your brain basically says, hey, I already have a file for this, and it just deletes the duplicate. The calendar pages disappear into a blur because literally nothing new is being encoded into the hippocampus.
Section 4. The 2 different selves.
To explain exactly why our brains delete these routine days, Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman details 2 totally different decision-making systems in his brilliant book, Thinking Fast and Slow. You can kind of think of them as 2 characters competing inside your brain. System 1 is fast, it's instinctual, it's automated, it is your autopilot. System 2, on the other hand, is slower, it's rational, and it requires deep focus and actual physical energy. Now, because deep focus is exhausting, our mind is incredibly lazy and it defaults to System 1 whenever it possibly can. So when you drive that same route to work every single day, System 1 takes over. You arrive at the office with literally zero memory of the drive because System 2 was completely asleep at the wheel.
And this creates a huge problem for what Kahneman calls our remembering self. He discovered something called the peak-end rule. This rule shows that we disproportionately remember an experience based on its peak intensity, whether that's really good or really bad, and how it ends. If you live a flat, heavily routine life run entirely by System 1, well, there are no peaks. There are no intense endings. You leave your remembering self with absolutely nothing to record, and the whole year simply vanishes.
Section 5. Living more slowly.
So the big question, how do we fix this? How do we step off autopilot and artificially expand our perception of time? In his book, The Pathless Path, Paul Millerd argues that the solution is intentionality. He suggests that we really need to strip away the distractions and return to the curiosities that brought us alive when we were kids. By consciously choosing curiosity over autopilot, we liberate the creative mind from the endless strain of everyday sustenance and the daily grind.
When you do that, you literally start forming dense memories all over again.
This intentionality is exactly what author Robert Greene calls becoming a far-sighted human. See, when we're trapped in the present moment's anxieties, time feels chaotic and fast. Greene suggests we need to detach from the heat of the moment and view our lives as a slow ascent up a massive mountain. From higher up, you gain distance. You see the whole context, the whole landscape, not just the trees directly in front of your face.
Section 6. 5 ways to make life feel longer.
Okay, let's get incredibly practical here. Based on all the cognitive psychology and neuroscience we've just covered, here are some actionable, evidence-based methods you can start using today to slow time down. First, break your routine. Just seek novelty, even in really small ways, like taking a different route to work or playing tourist in your own town. Second, generate knowledge through effort. Pull away from that default path and actually choose to learn a difficult new skill. And third, practice what psychologists call mental time travel. Former professional poker player and author Annie Duke utilizes this brilliant tool for mental time travel, originally developed by Susie Welch, called 10-10-10. When you're caught in a reactive, frantic moment, just stop and ask yourself, how will I feel about this decision in 10 minutes, in 10 months, in 10 years? Doing this forces your brain to recruit your system to executive functioning, yanking you right out of primitive autopilot and immediately slowing down your perception of the present.
You also have to fundamentally change how you interact with information. We often trick ourselves into feeling productive by doom-scrolling educational reels or saving hundreds of screenshots on our phones. But honestly, this is just passive consumption. It's what Seth Godin calls hiding in plain sight. It gives you this cheap dopamine hit with absolutely zero memory retention. To slow time down, you must shift to active generation. You have to create connections, write things down, and do the heavy lifting that actually gets encoded into the hippocampus.
So, the crucial point I want you to take away is this: time is highly malleable. We are not just helplessly locked in some accelerating blur. As Robert Greene so perfectly puts it, we have the power to consciously slow it down or speed it up.
Ultimately, your life isn't actually getting shorter. You are simply remembering less of it. By injecting novelty, embracing difficult learning, and living with true intentionality, you prioritize meaningful moments over measured minutes. You give your remembering self a library of rich, vivid peaks to look back on.
I want to leave you with one final thought to wake up your remembering self right now. If you could relive just one single day of your life, which day would it be? And exactly why was it so unforgettable? Think about that for a bit, and I'll see you in the next explainer.